Peace to the room. Peace to you. Thank you for joining me tonight. Um, I'm just Eve. Y'all know that. And today, others. Let's talk about others. Black people, look, I just want to tell you, I am so happy to see more and more of you being proud of who you are. I mean, it's not like James Brown didn't make a whole song in 1969. But speaking of 1969, that's the year after our ancestor, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., was assassinated. And today I'd like to take a gander at one of the people around him and consider why the Obamas would make a film about this man. Why the Obamas would want to present this man in this light. But first, the new black media, the only news you can use in real time. Support channels like Professor Black Truth. Every day at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moment of truth drops, and you can start your morning right. For me, and I understand, I'm just Eve. You can do what you want, but I hit my workout, grab my coffee, and press play. It's the breakfast of champions. Okay, back to my thought. Actually, it was the moment of truth. Moment of truth number, I want to say it was 135. Yes, okay. Moment of Truth 135. That put this man on my radar because let's face it, I'm a baby and studying our story. Some of y'all are so intelligent. You're vast resources of information and you can like pull it from the at the drop of a dime. I'm not like that. But once I hear something, well, I start adding. And if the math don't math, well, that's something. And when the maths, well, that's something else. Anyway, the Moment of Truth 135, that's from May of last year. It broke down the real Bayard Rustin. And maybe you're like me. You didn't or don't really know who that is. So I'll give you a real quick, this is who it is. All right, the dominant cowards in charge and God's chosen people have done what they always do. They're trying to change history in front of our very eyes. And a lot of times we've allowed it. We allow things because it's in blackface. But y'all say you don't like being mocked. Bayard Rustin should probably be known as Gayard Bustin, but let's not denigrate a dead black man. I mean, actually, scratch that. If you don't want or care to be black in life, you don't get black protections when you die. You can continue to be a multi-hyphenate sucker. Okay, so from my start on the Moment of Truth, a little research with the mega brains we all carry around with us, it was easy to see that Bayard is a black last op. And I understand why the dominant cowards in charge of things want to push him to the center of the civil rights argument. In the past few years, the masses have been on a quest to find the story, our story. And why? Well, it's because these people have been lying to us. And don't get me wrong, there have been people dedicated to teaching us our story, and I appreciate them. I really do. But for the past few years, y'all have been taking it upon yourselves to be involved, to share the information, to release the truth and let the chips fall where they're going to fall. And let's face it, that's been met with a lot of resistance. Stories that used to be widely accepted have been canceled due to woke culture. But when will we get the gall to use it for our advantage? Why do white people get to cancel people when the whole slang and lingo is ours? Like, is that a problem for y'all? Because it's a problem for me. Like, nobody was canceling anything anywhere before we said it was a thing. I mean, cancel culture is woke culture, is stupid, but it's usable. They use it. Why not us? November 17 this year, Rustin was released to the masses. This movie is an American biographical drama film directed by George C. Wolfe, an openly gay melanated man, written by Julian Brees and Dustin Lance Black, both of whom are also openly gay melanated men, about the life of civil rights activist Bayard Rustin, who was, you guessed it, openly gay and black. Produced by Barack Obama and Michelle Obama's production company Higher Ground, the film stars Coleman Domingo in the title role. And Coleman is, did you guess it? Another openly gay melanated man. Look, the Moment of Truth 135, I learned about Bussin's stance on reparations. And I don't know if you guessed this or not, but he wasn't having it. Y'all, y'all are some accurate guessing motherfuckers. Okay, my bad. Bussin was interviewed by the New York Times in 1969, and he's quoted, I shared it in the jumbo so you can see it, but he's quoted as saying, if my grandfather wasn't enslaved, then maybe he'd be owed some money. And Professor Black Truth broke down the issues with that statement. So I won't tangent here. You can check out that moment of truth because it's also posted in the jumbo. But I know y'all heard it. If maybe, nigga, no. Look, I know some of y'all don't rock with your family, and I kind of get it. Because if your family was like bussin', well, some things need no explanation. However, if you aren't rocking with your ancestors who you know weren't getting what was owed to them, you can't even be selfish enough to get what's theirs since you know it would go to you. Like, how bad do you have to hate yourself that you would let your inheritance get dispersed to others and you had the power to stop it? Like, how bad do you have to hate yourself that you would be so close to that experience, but you would question its validity? I don't I don't for a second believe that he didn't know his grandfather experienced what many of our ancestors experienced at the beginnings of this nation. However, as an other, well, when we say things like we're coming for our check, you might start to feel like you're on the outside and wanting to get in becomes the ultimate goal. But get in for what? Y'all niggas are owed too. Like, I know it's a whole other topic, so I'm not really trying to go off here, but Gayard Bussin was at least half of them other diasporian Negroes. He can collect from more than the United States. Like, why do we have to keep fighting these people? Okay, sorry. Back to my thought about Dr. King. Dr. King and Bussin's involvement in the civil rights argument. Them cowards in charge of things. They didn't like when Dr. King said that the economy was how we would secure our future. They knew Dr. King meant business when he apologized to us for leading us into a burning building. So they had to take him out. And you beautiful Black people, these past few years, taking it upon yourselves to find our story and tell it, well, y'all found the truth. Dr. King did have a dream, and it's coming to actuality now, like right now. He wasn't dreaming about all that jibber jabber, unity, and blah, blah. I mean, that's what he said, but that's not what his dream was. No. His dream was waking up to the trick bag and pointing us back in the right direction. Cut the check. And now that y'all know Dr. King was more than a speech about little white girls and little Black boys, then they don't like that. Enter Obama. This tool for the cowards in charge allowed our story to be falsified and then released as factual. Our story about the March on Washington and how it came to be, speaking of coming, that's what did it for me. The scene in the movie where Bussin is getting busted from the bike and he says, I have an idea. And it materializes to the March on Washington. Um, no. Like, no, nigga, no, that's libel. It's gotta be. It's gotta be libel. Somebody needs to come tell me how it's not libel because I don't believe for a second that this isn't sensationalized, gayified, or anything else debaucherous for the purposes of messing up our story. I have an idea. I had a dream. They don't want to teach about Martin anymore. Y'all learn too much. So now they have to replace him. Someone who's going to be an all lives matter person. And Gayard Bussin is such an individual. And I know I've said a lot, but there's so much more. So just if you could bear with me for just a few more moments, and I'll promise I'll get out your hair. They specifically chose a gay melanated immigrant to play Bussin. Like, what's up with the name Coleman anyway? You got Coleman Hughes, Coleman Domingo, and I just wanted to tell you that if you were thinking about naming your baby Coleman, maybe don't. Like, not this year or like next year. Maybe like give it a moment. Or maybe just don't. Okay, God's chosen people. They always want to say they can't cast certain people for certain roles, but sometimes they get it right. I mean, they get it more than right. I think they understand energy. I mean, I know they understand energy. Like, you got to have the right fit for the role or it's not going to work. Now, I know God's chosen people isn't Obama's team, but they are all involved in the same circle, so it's safe to say the influence is real. Moment of truth number 451 goes into Coleman Domingo and how white power chooses its winners. Professor breaks down how he's basically the male Cynthia Erivo and how the cowards in charge will make up awards and credentials and give it to their pet Negroes so that they can be seen with some sort of authority on whatever. Enter the multi-hyphenate. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. And while I don't really like the term because it allows for fence riding, I do like the fact that the people who are Black last always seem to have some sort of extras attached. So, multi-hyphenate can be a term used for them. The feminists, the womanists, the Democrats, the Republicans, first Black last people. Yeah, multi-hyphenate. There you go. So, but, so, well, if we continue to allow these people who don't belong to keep telling our story, we won't have a story that isn't pure. It will always have some sort of outside influence where it'll be a fight between the generations about what is and what isn't. And thus, time is up for that. We need to take our story by the reins and pull. We need to stand by the door and hold the line. Look, shout out to Dr. Short for taking the bullet and watching this movie. Because when I heard it was coming out from the New Black Media, I told myself I wasn't going to watch it for the same reason that y'all didn't watch it. Watching it equals support. I know that y'all felt the same way. I saw it in the comments. However, excuse me, when we ignore these red flags, these people get to survive like herpes. Like, come on, I'm so tired of how we have to just exist with roach-like mentalities or with rats with rabies and people who don't care about infecting other people. Like how people are acting, we can do something about this. These people keep popping up when we're stressed and under duress, and they end up wiping out a whole mess of us because y'all don't know how to exist safely. Some of y'all don't know how to exist safely. I think it's too many soft targets in our community. And just because you're not a hashtag doesn't mean you aren't just as gone. Like, how you be here and be gone. Okay, I'm sorry. That's another thought for another day. Look, if anybody has any thoughts and they want to add, they can come up. I have zero plans of being here all night, but I really wanted to get this off my chest because Bussin, Rustin, Obama, Obusi, these people, it's not right. I don't think that they should be able to just keep telling our story. I don't think that we should be in positions of power, like having the ability to speak to many people at once, and we're not talking about this type of stuff. We're talking about other stuff. And while I do think that some topics need to be hashed out in certain arenas and some stuff might get messy, and then it's like, well, why are y'all talking about this online or whatever? Can't you talk about this later? Some stuff does need to be on Front Street, but some other stuff, we need to start being people who can chew gum and walk at the same time because we're being attacked on all sides. So like I said, if you have thoughts, you can come up. If you don't, I thank y'all for another evening of me sharing my thoughts on this topic. Because if you were moved, maybe you'll do something. And I hope you want to know, do what? Because I want to tell you first, you can talk about it. You can share what you've learned. You've got family members who casually watch Netflix. And these people, when they see Black movie, they'll watch it because they want to engage with you. I know y'all aren't thinking about it like that, but that's how they're thinking about it. They want to say they did their Black deed for the month, and you have to be there to tell them the right information, to dismantle the bullshit that they were programmed with. You got to be there to speak truth to power. Another thing you can do is support channels like Professor Black Truth and the New Black Media and people who do the grunt work like Dr. Short. Because again, I tried to watch the movie. It was too gay. I'm at a time in my life, I don't want to see it like at all. And for real, maybe I'm getting prudish, but I don't want to see a bunch of straight sex on TV either. Like, what's wrong with y'all? But maybe not y'all. Maybe it's some other y'alls. I don't know. Lastly, when you hear about something and we have a chance to halt it in its tracks, maybe we do that because there's other movies coming out. Tether's playing the roles of our icons, and y'all cared about Black Ariel and female Black Panther. I just hope maybe we can get some care for people who actually existed. So, like I said, I'm just Eve. I didn't have a lot to say as much as I had something to say. If you want, you can follow me on YouTube at Just Eve if you want to check out my thoughts on other topics. I'm live on Spaces sometimes on Tuesday, sometimes it's Wednesday, but it is always around this time. Y'all be easy. Black first.